Was I right? Was I right? I told you this would be crazy. It has been a crazy election season. Everything is accelerating. Joe Biden dropping out of the race, just becoming totally senile with his mouth open. Donald Trump gets shot in the head by this guy named Thomas Crooks, who we forget about now because sadly he was killed, so no one cares about. And then Kamala Harris, just everything. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And then all of a sudden, another assassination attempt. Yeah, yesterday, Trump was almost assassinated. This guy, he was 58 years old. He had a rifle. He had the gun aimed. And at the last minute, the Secret Service noticed, I guess, the muzzle of his gun. And they shot at him, or he shot. I'm not sure which. And we know his name. His name is Ryan Routh. And it's interesting because typically in these situations, you shoot at the president or former president. You're not living. You're not living. That's it. You're like a Thomas Crooks. Dead men tell no tales. It's the Secret Service. That's their official model. They're dead men tell no tales. So they just kill you. But they missed. And Thomas Crooks, he decided, hey, I'm going to get out of here. Which I don't know how you think you're getting out of that situation, trying to shoot a former president, but he ran. And he was all set up for the assassination. He had a GoPro so he could like live stream it. I don't know, get super chats on it, who knows what. But it failed because they saw him about to do the ambush. And supposedly they were able to track him with a drone. I didn't know they used drones for this type of thing. They're everywhere. And they saw him get in his truck. And he was pulled over, I don't think by the Secret Service, but by a Florida sheriff. That's why he's alive, because if it was the Secret Service, they would have just executed him. But the Florida sheriff, they'd take you alive. So they took him alive. So it should be interesting as we dig into this. This is kooky, man, when you look at his background. The first thing you find out about him, we'll dig into this. He was a huge fan of the Ukrainian war. He was just love Ukraine and Kyiv. We got to fight for democracy and gay rights and all of that, right? He was all down on that. In fact, he traveled to Ukraine all the time. He was like a big promoter trying to get people to join Ukraine army, foreign fighters to join to fight against the evil Russians, and multiple trips. It was crazy. But then you look at, like, how did this guy get this way? And who funds this? What did he do for a living? How did he pay his bills? How was he able to fly around on this adventure? What's even stranger is the internet, because the FBI screwed up. Here we have the problem with DEI and the FBI. Usually right away they shut down everyone's social media before we even know the name so they can hide things. But this time it was about an hour or two from when the name was released, the public knew the name until they scrubbed the internet. So we have a lot of this information, and oh wow, it is doozy. It is a wild stuff. It turns out that Ryan Routh, he wasn't just like some normal guy. In 2002, when they checked his arrest record, yeah, he'd been arrested for like driving with an expired license. Yeah, whatever, some stuff like that. But then we have possession of weapons of mass destruction. What the hell? Who gets arrested for that? I've known people arrested for, let's say, shoplifting or drunk driving, but oh yeah, I got arrested for possession of weapons of mass destruction. Oh, okay. Okay, Ryan, that's cool. It's like, what did he have? Did he have a nuclear bomb? Did he have anthrax? Who gets arrested for that? And I'd assume if you get arrested for it and he was convicted, a felony, you're going to stay in jail a long time. That's pretty serious. Oh, but not our boy Ryan. No. In fact, he was out. He was flying around to Ukraine and everywhere else, Romania, doing TV appearances. I'm like, wow, this is strange. I would think that if you were convicted of possession weapons of mass destruction, at the very least, you would be like on a no-fly list. Hey, if you could criticize the government here in the United States, you could end up on the no-fly list. But weapons of mass destruction, that's okay, Ryan, go on through. So very, very odd. But that didn't seem to bother him. And he just went to Ukraine and he was rah the war. We got to support Kyiv. And it's this is not up for dispute. We have the receipts. In fact, here's a video of him in a propaganda video that Azov made. And if you don't know who Azov is, they're an organization. They're kind of equivalent to like the German SS during World War II. They are the hardcore nationalists for the Ukrainians. And here's our boy Ryan. They decide, yeah, we want you in our propaganda video. And here it is. Take a look here.
Of the action is to appeal to both leaders.
Oh, there he is. There's our boy Ryan. He's looking all sad and hurt. Oh, you got to come here and help the people of Kyiv.
What organization?
All right. And so you think, well, maybe they didn't know. He just showed up there and no big deal. But that's not it. We have another interview. He somehow was in Romania, and somehow Romanian TV, they knew about him, right? They knew about him. Romanian television, Newsweek, they're a Newsweek affiliate in Romania. They're like, we want to interview you because we heard about you. Well, how do they hear about him, right? If he's just some guy, he had to be connected in order to get the interview. And let's take a look at this here.
What are you doing here in Ukraine?
My initial goal was to come and fight. I think, everybody around the globe should be motivated to come here and support the Ukrainians and support the army, no matter what gender, age, anything. Everybody should be here.
All right. So he was frustrated that the government was not sending their official troops anyway to Ukraine to fight in the war with Russia. So he was there trying to encourage people like you to go to Ukraine to fight for Ukraine against Russia. Again, very weird stuff to be involved with. But you would think that's weird enough and it would stop there. But you would be wrong, dear viewer. You would be wrong. Because when we took a look at his Twitter feed, this is interesting what we see here. The first person it looks like he followed when he joined Twitter, I think it was Twitter, I don't know if it was called X at the time, but people looked at his followers. He wasn't following a lot of people, I think like 60 people, but one of the first people he followed was this lady named Sue Kim. And I don't know. I mean, maybe she's a great woman, great U.S. patriot. Maybe he dated her. We don't know the reasons, but it's really bizarre because if you look at what she writes, first of all, she protected her tweets. And she's a practice lead at the LMI organization. They are involved with defense-related stuff in the United States. She claims to be ex-CIA, RAND Corporation, again, connected with the defense and intelligence agencies, Yale, and SAISS Strat, again, connected with the intelligence agencies. So the first person Ryan decided to follow when he joined X, you would think, oh, I don't know, I'll follow Joe Biden because I like the Democrats, or I love Taylor Swift, I follow her. No, I'm going to follow Sue Kim, who is an ex-CIA person. I mean, again, it may mean nothing. That maybe they dated or they're personal friends. Could be. I don't know. But it's just, wow, weird that you're convicted in 2002 of possessing weapons of mass destruction. And now you're flying around the world, specifically Ukraine and Romania, trying to get people to join the Ukrainian army to fight against the Russians. And on your Twitter profile, one of the first people you follow looks to be a CIA asset. It's just strange. It's just really odd there. And we do know from him too, by the way, that he wasn't a fan of Donald Trump. In fact, he was using the same propaganda that Kamala Harris uses about we got to protect democracy. And here was Ryan Routh. Your campaign should be called something like KADAF, Keep America Democrat and Free. Trump's campaign should be MASA, Make America Slaves Again, Master. It's not. That doesn't really make sense. He didn't tell the good joke there because it should be MASAAM. He forgot the master part, but he's not good at memeing, so you can tell he's a leftist. Democracy is on the ballot and we cannot lose. So he bought into this whole line like Kamala Harris that This isn't this election between people with two different political ideas that somehow, if Trump wins, democracy will lose. Well, what does that mean? That Trump's going to cancel elections in 2028? He didn't in 2020. He was president for 4 years. He didn't cancel the elections. So I don't know what the hell she means by that. But some people, they may take that literally, that they literally think he's going to cancel democracy and he needs to fight against that. So if you put this all together, all these clues together, I think there's three different possibilities. Okay. And I'll give you my first most likely scenario. The most likely scenario is he's a guy that's a little schizophrenic that has this main character syndrome. And the main character syndrome is like you think the whole world revolves around you and you're like the main character in a video game. You're the hero making things right. So why most of us, we saw the war in Ukraine versus Russia. It's just international stuff, border dispute, whatever. People like this guy, Ryan, oh no, we gotta fight, we gotta do something. So he internalized it and he went to Ukraine to help fight against the evil Russians because his TV, that's what his TV told him. And he's the hero. And now, because that war's being lost, maybe he got disillusioned, he has to pivot into a different area. And we have the election now, and he hears his hero, Kamala Harris, say, democracy is at stake. And he's like, uh-oh, I got to save democracy. If I should kill President Trump, I'll be seen as a hero throughout history. And if you look at his smug face after he was arrested, I mean, take a look at it here. Look at it here. He's like, oh, I'm on the side of the angels. And so he has this like true believer syndrome, kind of the Jim Jones cult people had. I think this is a likely scenario what happened. That's scenario one. He was just kind of kooky and he thought he was making a good difference in the world. Number two, this is also a possibility that the agencies, I don't know, the FBI, the NSA, whoever deals with this stuff, they were using him as an informant or as an operative in some way. Obviously, he was on their list because he was, if you're convicted of having weapons of mass destruction, you are on the FBI's list. They are talking to you. They are probably working deals with you. He had to have some sort of deal with the FBI and the government to be able to travel around the world, even though he was convicted of a serious felony. So maybe they were using him. They saw he was gullible and they could use him as an asset. And if they told him to do something like to, eliminate someone they don't like, and let's face it, the deep state does not like Trump. The first assassination attempt failed. Maybe thought the second time would work better. And they gave this guy some suggestions of what to do. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but his whole background is so suspicious. Again, with that person he followed on Twitter initially who claimed she was ex-CIA, she has all these connections. Very, very strange. The third possibility is the Ukrainian government intelligence used them to try to kill Donald Trump. It's no secret Zelensky doesn't want to see Trump to win because Trump plans to end the war. And how would Trump end the war? Just stop funding Ukraine. Ukraine would have to, settle a peace agreement with Russia. And I think Trump and many of us are tired of the war and Trump wants to end it. And Zelensky knows that could be the end of him. They're desperate. And they have this American asset because he's been over there many times. He was in a propaganda video. They decided they could use him to maybe knock off Trump, and that because they're worried Trump could win. That's another possibility. It could be because Ukraine, you have to remember, never forget, they have murdered an American citizen before. They murdered Gonzalo Lira, Coach Red Pill. They murdered him because of his views. They're not beyond trying to murder a former president of the United States. I have no doubt about that. So there's the three possibilities. Again, I think the most likely scenario is Ryan Routh has this main character syndrome. He thinks he's the star of he's a hero. But you can't, with all this other stuff, the FBI was aware of him. Looked like he may have had a handler, and he was involved with Ukraine quite deep. Interesting case. I don't know if we'll find out more if he'll commit suicide. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Talk to you guys later.